G'day, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Tips for rendering a business. Yes, I do. I'm not rendering today, but I am painting. Let me flip the camera around so you can judge me on my terrible tradesman work. So don't judge me on my dodgy painting work, but decided to paint the background of my studio, and it's a bit patchy. It's a couple more coats of paint. Black is bloody hard to paint, I tell you. So aside from not being like me and actually being good at what you do, there's a couple of tips that I can give you around running a profitable trade business, whether it's a rendering business, whether it's a painting business, whether it be an electrical business, whatever it may be. There are a couple of fundamental tips that you need in order to be successful. First one, you need to transition from time for money pricing into value for money pricing. I see so many tradespeople get into this kind of cost plus model because they want to minimize their risks. They're like, hey, I'm not 100% sure how complicated this job is going to be. I'm going to charge it on an hourly rate. I'm going to mark it up by a certain amount, and at least it gives me certainty around my margin. But the issue is that it makes it very easy for your clients to compare you apples for apples to others. And from my perspective, when you're an expert at what you do, I'm definitely not an expert at painting, but when you're an expert in what you do, you shouldn't be penalised for being efficient and being fast at what you do, because I'm sure it's safe to say that a good renderer should be able to turn around a job much faster than somebody who has no idea what they're doing. So the idea is that we want to transition into value for money pricing, where we charge based on the project and we ensure that we price in a suitable margin and some margin for error, and obviously we scope the job appropriately so you don't get caught with your pants down and end up basically losing your shirt on the project. The reason for this is because this becomes not an apples for apples comparison, but an apples to apple juice comparison. Because you can use your portfolio, you can use your case studies to show the quality of your work and the reason why you charge what you do. The idea is then to be the most expensive or close to the most expensive in your market. In my opinion, there's no space for a middle market competitor, and there's definitely no space for people at the bottom of the game, because ultimately if you're just trying to quote to win the job, I'm sure you've seen the people, they just quote these ridiculous prices in order to win the job. They're losing money. I prefer not to do the job than to win the project and lose money. Don't be afraid by people saying no and undercutting you on price. If you focus on that value and you price accordingly, that will speak volumes for your work. The third part comes down to positioning. Now, you need to create your own brand, but you need to back up that brand with social proof. So the reason why I can kind of look like a bum is because I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of successful client testimonials. I've been able to show and illustrate how I've been able to help my clients achieve these amazing results, even though I look like a homeless person. You need to do the same. This is not to say that you should roll around like I do. I'm actually a contrast to my industry, so I think as a tradesperson, you should probably present yourself really well. Branded uniforms, always look clean and tidy. And make sure that you've got a lot of client testimonials, not just online reviews, because I think that's expected these days. Film interviews. If you're interested, I can send you a couple of examples of what we do in our business. And the idea of an interview on video is that it's real. It's a third-party perspective that helps reinforce these individuals' decisions in choosing you over other people. Most tradespeople don't do this. For our trades clients who implement this strategy, they absolutely crush it. Now let's talk a little bit about the finances. For many trades businesses, particularly businesses that are project-based, the biggest killer for them is the cash flow. So they have all of these expenses going out for the duration of the project, and then they get paid at the end. In some cases, they've got 30-day terms or whatever. If you're working with B2B or you're doing any subby work, it may even be longer. The issue with this is that as you grow and scale your business, you deplete your bank account balance because you have what I refer to as a negative cash conversion cycle, meaning that you've got all of these outgoings before the incomings, and that ultimately gets in the way of you being able to make the profit. So what is really important is that you understand the stages of your outgoings, and you need to charge the appropriate deposit up front. For many of our trade clients, we actually get it all paid up front. I'll share with you a little strategy in a second, or at least 50%, because I find that for most trade businesses, their cost of sales, including their materials and supplies and subcontractors and direct employees, is around about that 50% mark. Some of them slip to 60. Solar probably slips to about 70. But we understand what that cash conversion cycle is. We charge appropriately up front so we can try and liquidate as much of that expense, if not all of it, as possible, and then we make the profit at the end. Now, how do we get this over the line? Because certain, particularly B2B clients, they have certain payment terms, right? Well, you offer them an incentive. You offer them what I call advanced and easy pricing. So you say, hey, I've got two pricing models. If you have good cash flow and you'd like to get a discount, then I have an advanced option where you pay it all up front and it's 10% cheaper. I'll explain a little bit more in a second. Or I've got an easy option where I offer 14, 30-day payment terms, but it is 10% more expensive. Which would you prefer, the advanced or the easy? The vast majority of the time, people take the advanced option because they want the discount, right? Now, it's actually just about a positioning exercise. The easy option is actually 10% more expensive than what you would usually charge. So it basically means that you are being remunerated for being a lending facility for your clients and customers. There's nowhere else that they could borrow money interest-free. Why should they borrow it interest-free from you? So that is a really great strategy that works. And the last point I want to give you, mate, is that being a great tradesperson doesn't necessarily mean that you're great at business. You need to understand your numbers. You need to get educated on how to grow and scale a business. You need to know how to get out of that technician phase where you're slapping mud on the wall to where you can run a business confidently and you can grow and scale that business confidently. And this is where we work our magic. Most of our clients know how to make money. They work with a business coach. They work with a marketing coach. They've got stuff sorted there. They've got their foundations in place. Typically, they're at multi-6 figures, 7 figures, even 8 figures. And they realise that their money is slipping through their fingers and they would prefer to have it making that money work harder for them. So they want to work out how they keep it and then how they magnify it. And that's where we work our magic. It's all about implementing these kind of smart financial strategies that drives real results. So I hope this has been helpful, mate. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if you need some help, feel free to jump in the link in my bio and happy to assist. We work with lots of tradies and I'm sure we can help you crush it out of the park.